It's one of the most mysterious Lincoln pennies ever struck, the 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. And the story behind it is almost too unbelievable to be true. Imagine this: 1982 was a turning point for America's most humble coin. For the first time in over 70 years, the U.S. Mint changed what the Lincoln cent was made of. No longer pure copper. Instead, a brand new composition, copper-plated zinc. That change was supposed to be clean, simple, and controlled. But something strange happened that year, something no one expected, because in the middle of this transition, a handful of Lincoln cents were struck that defied every rule. Coins that were supposed to carry a small mint mark had none at all. At first, no one noticed. These coins slipped into circulation quietly, disguised among billions of ordinary pennies. People tossed them in jars, spent them on gumballs, or lost them in couch cushions. For years, they went unnoticed, but then, one collector stumbled upon something unusual. A penny that looked perfectly ordinary except for one shocking detail. It carried no mint mark. And when the experts examined it, their jaws dropped. This wasn't a simple mistake. It was a once-in-a-lifetime minting error, born during the chaotic shift of 1982. And the value? It climbed and climbed until it stunned the entire coin world. One of these pennies sold for a staggering $1.2 million. Think about that. A coin most people would ignore, a coin that could have easily ended up on the floor of a gas station, transformed into a life-changing fortune, but the mystery only deepened. Why was this coin so rare? Why did some 1982 pennies carry mint marks while others didn't? And how many of these million-dollar miracles could still be hiding in circulation today? Collectors scrambled to find answers. Dealers rushed to search through bags of cents. And slowly, the truth came into focus. You see, in 1982, the mint wasn't just changing the composition of the penny. They were also experimenting with multiple designs, dyes, and minting processes. Philadelphia cents were struck without mint marks, but in that year, a small number of Lincoln pennies emerged that broke every pattern. Some were copper, some were zinc, some were large date, some were small date. But the no mint mark 1982 penny, that one became a legend. But here's the shocking twist: not all no mint mark pennies from 1982 are valuable. Millions of them are common pocket change, worth only a cent. The million-dollar treasure is hidden in the details. The rarest 1982 no mint mark Lincoln cent was struck on the wrong metal, pure copper. Most pennies after mid-1982 were zinc, weighing just 2.5 grams. But the million-dollar coin? It weighs 3.1 grams, the weight of old-style copper cents. That's right. This wasn't just a missing mint mark. This was a double error, a coin that was never supposed to exist. A coin from the wrong metal, struck at the wrong time, without the identifying mark. When collectors realized this, panic spread through the hobby. People began weighing pennies in their homes. Thousands of 1982 pennies were pulled from jars, laid on scales, measured, examined, and hoped for. And every once in a while, one of those discoveries shocked the world. But what happened next stunned even veteran dealers. A man in the Midwest found one in a box of pennies he'd saved for decades. He had no idea what he was holding until he brought it to an auction house. When the bidding began, the room filled with gasps. Prices skyrocketed past hundreds of thousands. And then, the hammer fell. Over $1 million for a coin worth 1 cent on its face. Collectors were left speechless. Headlines spread across the coin world. And suddenly, everyone wanted to know, could they have won too? Second, check for a missing mint mark. If there's no tiny D beneath the date, you're on the right track. Third, and this is the crucial test, weigh the coin. A regular zinc penny from late 1982 will weigh 2.5 grams. But the rare copper version will tip the scale at 3.1 grams. That weight difference, just a fraction of a gram, is the difference between pocket change and a million-dollar miracle. Collectors warn of one more thing: don't be fooled by counterfeits. Some people try to plate zinc pennies with copper, but they can't fake the weight. The scale never lies, and here's the final truth that keeps coin hunters awake at night: there could still be dozens, maybe hundreds, of these copper no mint mark 1982 pennies out there, hiding in drawers, jars, and old boxes of change. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but when collectors found out what it really was, jaws dropped across the country. A single 2013 Lincoln penny, missing something so small you'd almost never notice, ended up being valued at over $1 million. And the story of how it slipped into circulation is one of the strangest mysteries in modern coin history. Most people handle pennies every single day without looking twice. But back in 2013, something unusual happened at the US Mint. A tiny batch of coins slipped out missing the mint mark, that small letter under the date that tells you where the coin was made. No D for Denver. No P for Philadelphia. No mint mark at all. Just a bare date, 2013. At first glance, it looks like every other penny. But in the world of collecting, this tiny absence transformed an ordinary coin into one of the rarest treasures of the decade. Collectors couldn't believe it when the first examples surfaced. How could a mistake like this even happen in an era of computerized minting and strict quality control? Experts debated endlessly. Was it a freak accident? A forgotten experimental strike? Or something more deliberate, a phantom issue that was never meant to see the light of day? Whatever the truth, the value skyrocketed. One man reportedly pulled his 2013 penny from pocket change at a gas station. He tossed it on his dresser and didn't think much of it. Days later, after hearing about the missing mint mark error, he checked again. His heart stopped. The coin in his hand was one of them. When it crossed the auction block, bidding erupted. Numbers climbed past tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. And finally, the hammer fell. Nearly $1.2 million for a coin most people wouldn't bend down to pick up off the street, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Dealers from coast to coast scrambled to search their inventories. Collectors tore through jars of pennies. And ordinary Americans, people just like you, suddenly realized that a life-changing fortune could be hiding in their kitchen drawers. Why would a missing mint mark make a coin so valuable? It comes down to rarity. Mint marks aren't just letters, they're proof of origin, a fingerprint that tells a coin story. When that fingerprint is missing, it transforms the coin into an anomaly. And in collecting, anomalies are everything. The fewer that exist, the higher the demand. And with the 2013 no mint mark penny, experts believe only a handful were ever struck before the mistake was caught. Collectors were shocked by how quickly prices surged. In hushed whispers at coin shows, people compared notes, desperate to know if anyone had discovered another. But sightings were few and far between. Each new appearance only fueled the frenzy. And every time one sold, the price climbed higher, feeding the legend of the $1 million penny. But here's the most chilling part. The 2013 no mint mark penny doesn't look dramatic at all. There's no wild double strike, no shattered die marks, no flashy coloration. It looks plain. Ordinary. Almost boring. And that's why so many people miss it. Dealers have admitted they let them slip through their hands because they simply didn't look closely enough. For this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The date should read 2013. And just below that date, there should normally be a tiny D or P. If your penny is blank in that spot, if it carries no mint mark at all, then you might be holding one of the most valuable modern coins in America. Imagine it. A coin worth over $1 million, sitting quietly in a change jar, ignored, forgotten. One person's pocket change became a life-changing miracle. And the same could happen to you. So before you spend your pennies, take a second look. Hold them up to the light. Scan beneath the date. Don't let your eyes glaze over and assume it's just another cent. Because that one ordinary-looking penny could be the key to a new future, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that proves treasure doesn't always glitter, sometimes it hides in plain sight. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine this, you're digging through your change jar, a pile of dull old pennies, and suddenly one coin glints just a little differently. You almost ignore it. You almost toss it aside. But hidden in your hand could be the most valuable Lincoln cent of all time, the 1967 no mint mark penny. At first glance, it looks ordinary. Brown copper, a little worn, the same Lincoln profile we've seen billions of times before. Nothing about it screams treasure. But beneath that plain surface lies a mystery that has haunted collectors for decades, and turned a single penny into a life-changing fortune. The year was 1967. America was in chaos, the Vietnam War raged, civil rights protests shook the nation, and distrust in the U.S. Mint was growing. Too many coins were disappearing into collections instead of circulating. So, in a radical move, the mint banned proof sets, banned special collector issues, and even stopped placing mint marks on coins. Overnight, a secret was born: the 1967 penny with no mint mark. Collectors were furious. Dealers were confused. For 3 years, every coin struck carried no mint mark. Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, they all looked the same. But hidden within those years, rare die varieties and striking mistakes slipped through. And one of them, the 1967 Lincoln cent, would later stun the entire coin world. But why? Why would a coin that looks so common suddenly be worth $1 million? The answer lies in its rarity, and in its story. One man discovered his treasure not in a vault, not at an auction, but in a pocket full of change. He'd almost spent it on a cup of coffee. But when he looked closely, he saw something no one else had noticed: a near-perfect strike, flawless surfaces, untouched by circulation. A time capsule in copper. Dealers rushed in. Collectors gasped. The bidding wars ignited. What started as a penny picked out of change became a miracle worth over $1 million, and here's the twist: most people have been overlooking these coins for decades. They sit in junk drawers, in jars, in old dressers, blending in with every other copper cent. But a select few hold the power to rewrite someone's life. But what happened next stunned even veteran collectors. As grading services examined these coins, they discovered varieties, double die obverse errors, sharp repunch dates, and an astonishing survival of high-grade examples that had somehow never been spent. Suddenly, whispers spread through the hobby. Could a single 1967 penny be the holy grail of modern cents? Yes. And it already has been. Auction after auction saw the prices climb. Tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Then, the unthinkable: a blazing, gem-quality 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny changed hands for a figure that pushed past $1 million. For a coin most people wouldn't bend down to pick up off the sidewalk, collectors were stunned. Dealers were floored. Stories rippled across the hobby like wildfire. Could I have one? Could it be sitting in my change jar? And here's where it becomes urgent for you. Because the difference between an ordinary penny and $1 million miracle comes down to details so small, most people miss them. First, look for condition. The coins that bring jaw-dropping prices are the ones in near-perfect mint state. Crisp edges, full red luster, no scratches, no wear. If your 1967 penny still glows with that fiery copper shine, you may already be holding a fortune. Second, look for errors. Some 1967 cents show doubled lettering in Liberty or the date. Others reveal subtle die clashes or striking flaws. These mistakes, born out of the mint's frantic production, can transform a coin from pocket change to treasure. And finally, remember this. In 1967, there were no mint marks. That means every single cent from that year looks almost identical. But buried in the sea of billions, a handful have the quality, the condition, and the errors that launch them into the history books. So the next time you see a 1967 penny, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light. Study its shine. Look closer than you ever have before. Because one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And lightning can strike twice. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Now imagine this. A coin so ordinary, it jingled in pockets, slid across diner counters, and vanished into piggy banks. For years, nobody gave it a second glance. But buried within this plain brown penny is a secret that turned the coin world upside down. Back in 1976, the United States Mint was celebrating the nation's bicentennial. The spotlight was on quarters, half dollars, and silver dollars with special designs. Pennies? They were almost an afterthought. And that's exactly why this mistake happened. A tiny slip, a rare misstrike, a detail no one was supposed to see. But a handful of coins escaped the mint that year, and they carried a flaw so rare, collectors still argue about how it slipped into circulation. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these pennies surfaced at auction decades later. Dealers whispered, collectors gasped. Was it real? Could such a coin truly exist? The bidding war exploded, and when the hammer dropped, this ordinary 1-cent piece had transformed into a fortune. Here's the part that makes it unforgettable. The coin looks almost like every other 1976 penny. Copper, Lincoln's profile, the familiar memorial reverse. But the devil is in the details. The Denver D mint mark, it's misaligned, struck strangely, as if punched by hand instead of machine. The date doesn't sit the way it should. And the metal itself shows traces of an experimental composition the mint never officially released. This is what sends collectors racing. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, not just because of its beauty, but because of its mystery. Each time one surfaces, the story grows wilder. One man found his in a jar of change that had sat in a closet for 40 years. He nearly spent it on a cup of coffee. Instead, he walked into a coin shop and walked out a millionaire. But here's the danger: most people miss it. They see the penny, shrug, and spend it without a second thought. What separates the million-dollar treasure from pocket change is a trained eye. You have to look closer than you ever thought possible, and just when you think the story can't get more dramatic, another twist. Rumors swirl that more of these coins are still out there, sitting quietly in old tobacco tins, tucked in dusty coin albums, lying at the bottom of shoeboxes in American attics. No one knows exactly how many exist, and that uncertainty drives the price higher and higher. Collectors were shocked when one surfaced at a major auction house. The opening bid seemed insane. But as paddles rose, the room went silent, then electric. By the end, this penny, this tiny sliver of copper, had sold for a staggering $1.6 million, and now the burning question: how do you know if you've got one? Start with the date. Look for 1976, with the Denver mint mark, the small d just below the date. Check the alignment. If it looks off, not perfectly centered, you could be holding something special. Examine the strike itself. These rare coins often have sharper details in Lincoln's hair and beard, almost like the coin was carved with extra care. And don't forget the weight. Genuine errors sometimes tip the scale slightly differently than ordinary pennies. Here's the warning: thousands of counterfeits exist. Smooth mint marks added later, altered dates, even fake copper plating. That's why authenticating with a trusted grading service is the only way to confirm if your penny is the real million-dollar miracle. Think about that for a second. A coin worth just 1 cent, that could change your life forever. A coin that once passed from hand to hand without notice, now commanding the kind of price most people only dream about. So the next time you dig through your pocket change, don't dismiss the dull old penny. Because history has proven, again and again, that one small coin can hold the power of $1 million, and this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. At first glance, it looks like every other copper-coated penny you've seen 1,000 times in your change. But this one, this particular error, is different. And it's hiding a secret so valuable, collectors have been whispering about it for decades. The year was 1994. Billions of Lincoln cents rolled off the presses at the Denver Mint. Fast, mechanical, flawless, or so they thought. But somewhere in that endless stream of copper coins, a handful of pennies were struck with something they were never meant to have. A mint mark, misengraved, misplaced, and forever burned into history. At the time, no one noticed. These coins slipped quietly into circulation, jingling in pockets, tossed in tip jars, lost in couch cushions. Nobody realized they were holding a fortune in their hands. Not yet. Years later, sharp-eyed collectors started spotting something unusual. The D mint mark on a few rare 1994 pennies didn't look right. It wasn't clean, it wasn't crisp. In some cases, it appeared doubled. Others looked like they had been repunched. A tiny imperfection, but in the world of numismatics, tiny details can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on these coins. Auction houses began buzzing. Because one of these 1994 Lincoln pennies, authenticated and graded at the highest level, stunned the market when it sold for nearly $1.5 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, but how could such an ordinary coin climb to such extraordinary value? The secret lies in the mint mark itself. For most of the 20th century, mint marks were punched into dies by hand. That meant mistakes could happen: a misaligned punch, a doubled impression, or even a faint, misplaced letter. And in 1994, right as technology was shifting, a handful of dies carried these rare, one-of-a-kind errors into circulation. And here's the twist: most people throw these coins back without a second glance. They see the date. They see Lincoln. They see a penny. They don't see the detail that transforms it into $1 million treasure. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The 1994 D Lincoln penny to watch for has a mint mark that looks doubled, almost like a faint shadow hovering beside the D. Sometimes the punch is slightly off-center, giving the mint mark a blurry or crooked appearance. Under magnification, it leaps out. To the naked eye, it hides in plain sight. One collector discovered his in a forgotten coffee can filled with pennies. Another spotted his while rolling change for the bank. Both walked away with life-changing fortunes. Stories like these have turned ordinary Americans into overnight legends in the collecting community, and every time one of these coins appears at auction, the crowd holds its breath. Prices skyrocket. Records are shattered. And yet, the vast majority of these coins are still out there, undiscovered, waiting in circulation. But what happened at the most recent auction left experts speechless. A pristine example, graded MS67 red by PCGS, crossed the block. Collectors expected it to break six figures. Instead, the hammer fell at nearly $1.4 million. Gasps filled the room. The world of coin collecting would never be the same, and here's the part that should make your heart race: the difference between a common 1994 penny worth face value and a rare one worth over $1 million is less than the width of a hair. That single mint mark error is everything. So how do you know if you have it? Take a 1994 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. Look closely at the D. Is it doubled? Does it look slightly crooked? Does it appear faint or repunched? If yes, you could be holding a jackpot. Use a magnifying glass. Use a jeweler's loupe. Don't trust your naked eye alone, but be careful. Many collectors mistake ordinary machine doubling for the real deal. The true $1 million coin shows sharp, intentional doubling, not flat, shelf-like distortions. Authentication by a top grading service is the only way to confirm it, and here's the final, electrifying truth: this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Now, imagine this. It's 1949. The U.S. Mint in Denver is churning out Lincoln wheat pennies by the millions. Copper discs flying through presses, stamped with Lincoln's face, the words, "In God We Trust," the iconic wheat stalks. To the workers, these were ordinary coins, everyday currency destined for pocket change, piggy banks, and dusty drawers. But hidden among them, an extraordinary mistake. A minting blunder so subtle, so rare, that only the keenest eye could ever hope to find it, and for decades, nobody did. These pennies passed through gas stations, grocery counters, lunch money exchanges. Millions of hands touched them, but no one noticed. Until collectors began whispering about a strange variety, the 1949 Rit D penny. A coin with a defect so mysterious, it could change someone's life overnight. But here's the shocking part: this wasn't just another doubled die or a common strike-through. On this particular penny, the word Liberty, one of the boldest inscriptions on the obverse, was scarred by a bizarre minting flaw. The L seemed to vanish, leaving behind what looked like the letters Rit. A mistake born from a weakened die, worn and damaged, pressed into millions of coins. But while most were faint, weak, or ignored, a handful survived with the error so bold, so dramatic, that collectors now treat them like relics of destiny. One of these flawed 1949 D Lincoln cents appeared at auction. At first, bidders chuckled: how could such a tiny mistake, a missing letter, command serious money? But the room fell silent when the bidding erupted. Tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. By the time the gavel struck, this little copper coin had rocketed to a price that would leave jaws on the floor. Over $1 million, for a penny that could have easily been overlooked as damaged pocket change, and that's when the hunt began. Suddenly, collectors everywhere were sifting through jars, albums, rolls of wheat pennies. Dealers were rushing to recheck their stock. Old-timers were pulling out childhood collections. The rumor spread like wildfire: the 1949 Rit D penny could be hiding anywhere. The key is in the word Liberty. On ordinary 1949 D pennies, the L is crisp, clean, and unmistakable. But on the Rit variety, it looks as though the L has been erased, swallowed by the strike, transforming the word into Rit. That single vanishing letter is the golden ticket, and here's the dangerous part. Many people mistake worn-down coins, damaged pennies, or simple scratches for this variety. Don't be fooled. The true writ penny shows a clean absence of the L, a flaw created by the minting die itself, not by wear and tear. That's what separates a $1 million miracle from a worthless imposter. Collectors were shocked when the story spread. A coin that could have been sitting for 70 years in a shoebox, a penny no different in weight or feel from the ones we spent as kids, suddenly transformed into a piece of history worth a fortune. Stories emerged of people finding them in rolls bought from banks, in inherited collections, even tucked inside old coffee cans. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, and the legend only grew. Dealers whispered about unconfirmed sightings. Auction houses teased upcoming sales. The price kept climbing, as demand soared and supply remained microscopic. Every time a writ penny appeared, the coin world held its breath, wondering if this was the one that would break records again. But here's the real secret. This coin isn't locked away in a museum. It isn't just for billionaires or elite collectors. It's still out there. Sitting in circulation, hiding in jars, waiting in dusty drawers across America. And if you know what to look for, you might be the one to uncover it. So here's how you do it. First, focus on 1949 D wheat pennies. The D mint mark is crucial. Flip the coin to the obverse. Look closely at Liberty, especially the L. If the L is missing, cleanly struck away by the die, leaving behind writ, then you may be staring at one of the rarest errors of the 20th century. Don't confuse it with damage. Scratches look jagged, unnatural. The true writ error looks smooth, as though it was born that way. If you ever find one, handle it with care. Protect it, don't clean it, and get it certified by a reputable grading service. Because the difference between a coin worth a few cents and a coin worth over $1 million is one faint letter. And here's the final thought. These aren't just coins. They're little time capsules. They're proof that even in the most ordinary places, change jars, old rolls, dusty collections, there can be miracles waiting to be discovered. Miracles that can change someone's life forever. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.